One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
The S&P is now down 228 points in the pre-market, 4.25%. So on Friday, the Dow closed 600 points lower. The Nasdaq entered correction territory after we got that weaker than expected jobs report for July. The global sell-off certainly is also concerns about a new fears of a concern about a recession. That's pulling down markets. Volatility has spiked. The Japanese market, the Nikkei, having even a worse performance than it did back in 1987. And then there is this, the Wall Street Journal writing, fears of slowing growth are rattling financial markets around the world. And that's spurring investors to unwind many of 2024's most popular trades. I want to bring in Trend Macro Chief Investment Officer Donald Lunskin. Donald, your reaction to what you're seeing in the futures market this morning?
So let me talk about the elephant in the room here. Ever since we learned on June 27th that Joe Biden is too senescent to run for president, we had to live with the psychologically destabilizing reality that the most powerful man in the world, who has to be ready 24/7 to respond to crises like the kind that are brewing right now between Israel and Iran, is too senescent to even run for president, and yet he gets to be president. Then a week later, we get a shot at a presidential candidate because, how strange, the government agency tasked with protecting him just somehow fell apart in 100 different ways. Then we get a 1-month waiting period before Biden finally steps down. And we know from independent reporting that's because he was threatened with the 25th Amendment, which has never been invoked for any president ever in history. So what we are seeing is a set of sudden realities revealed to us that had been concealed from us for years. This was all the stuff I've been talking about. These are realities that have always been true. Now we see them. So when you feel that stupid, when you realize that you're that deluded, that opens up mental pathways in your brain. And you start saying, what else might I need to think about? Well, maybe those earnings out to perpetuity that I've been forecasting for NVIDIA, are a little exaggerated.
The initial, caveat to this was that jobs report last Friday, and we saw the market sell off on Friday. Fears of a recession, brewing over the weekend. But to Mark's point, you have a potential strike on Israel by Iran, as well as we're in election year. I mean, there's a lot of things that the recession talk is really what.
Look, I think on the economy, the jobs report was pretty poor, but it really kind of brought to a head a lot of concerns about credit card delinquency spiking, consumer sentiment being in the toilet again and perpetually over the last several months, the fact that consumer spending is dwindling. I just think there are an awful lot of reasons people were concerned about a possible slowdown in the economy, and now there is actual evidence that it's happening, and the tip of the spear is job creation. And if we begin to see unemployment go even higher, that really discourages spending, and that's 70% of the economy. I also think, and maybe it's just me, the country feels completely leaderless. I mean, who is speaking out? Who is talking to the American people? Joe Biden can't. It really appears like every time he tries to do that, it's kind of a catastrophe. And Kamala Harris has not stepped up. So here we are, as you point out, Cheryl, facing increased possibility of actual war now in the Middle East, been talked about for months, but now it seems to be at a breaking point, and there is no one talking to the American people. I think that's very unnerving.
History in the making.
What some would call history in the making. Don't say that.
We have never been down 1,000 points ever, not even intraday on the NASDAQ.
Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. Down 6% right from the get-go. This is heavy big tech. Here we go. Look at them go down. Microsoft is down $20. That's 5%. Alphabet, 5%. Meta, 6%. Amazon, 6%. Apple, 9% down. Let's pull out Apple. This is interesting.
All that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Meanwhile, but if Biden gets in, the market will crash.
Seems as though Trump was right. It took a little while for everything to be exposed, but it's obviously right. Many of us who are in financial markets and do understand some of what's going on, this was easily forecasted. It wasn't a surprise. There was no way that people couldn't see this coming. I mean, it's that obvious. Your first day in, you stop the American people from basically drilling for oil. You decide you want to buy oil from all of these dictatorial countries, put us in a situation coming out of a pandemic where we would hope that the government would say, listen, we need to stimulate this economy as much as possible. And you do everything but do the right thing. And then brag about Bidenomics, which as of today is Kamalanomics. She can't extricate herself from this, and you shouldn't let her. I am tired of the trolls. I am tired of the nuts on television. I put up something on Twitter today, which was really interesting, and some people replied to it. Understand right now, the same people who basically supported and hid Biden for years, who are now lathering about Kamala Harris, are going to lose their collective butts in today's market and the economy. The companies they work for, as you saw, some of those stock, are going to lose their collective butts moving forward. But it seems as though they have to do it. At this point, I don't know what they have on these people, but for some reason, I looked at CNN and MSNBC this morning. It was hardly even talked about. They were talking about the weather down here in Florida. Okay. They were talking about her presidential pick. Okay. But not a lot was made as to people losing money, the companies they work for losing a crap load of money. And then you get the commies on Twitter who's like, that's great. They deserve to lose money. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I don't deserve to lose money. I didn't do anything wrong. You don't deserve to lose any money. You didn't do anything wrong. America is in peril. And as of 10:15, when I started getting ready for this show, Dementia Joe, not a friggin' word. Kamala Harris, not a friggin' word. Nothing. The country needs leadership, and they are completely silent. This should basically disqualify her from even being a candidate at this point. Dementia Joe, just go off to the rest home, do what you need to do. Kamala, you're in basically a tailspin that I am telling you right now, ignore the polls. There is no realistic person with a functioning frontal lobe that is saying, yeah, I want some more of this. As of today, we have a burgeoning war in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. And it cracks me up when I hear people say, oh, it's between Iran and Israel. Really? Really? You think it's just between Israel and Iran? No. We're on the precipice of World War III. And then add into the other stuff. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos coming out of England. They're in turmoil. They're basically at the point of civil war. And you've seen what's going on with Venezuela, and meanwhile we got a caravan coming up the southern border. On top of all this, our economy wasn't good to be before today. People couldn't afford gas, people couldn't afford groceries, people can't afford rent. I mean, what else could go wrong? But she says, hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's Bidenomics. No, it's actually Kamalanomics. And to be so obtuse, Biden's chief economic advisor today quit the White House and is going to work for Kamala Harris. So she's letting everybody know it's going to be the same economic policy. Whatever she's doing, whatever plans they have, it's going to be the same. Dateline, this happened at 10 o'clock. Wanted to show you that. 10 o'clock a.m. The architect of Bidenomics is leaving the White House to work for Kamala Harris. Pundits have been questioning whether or not Kamala Harris would continue Bidenomics if elected. Now you know. You're going to get more of the same. Her decision to hire Gene Sperling as her senior economic advisor suggests that she will indeed continue with Bidenomics. However, Sperling's announcement of his resignation from the White House today seems poorly timed given the economy's current downward spiral. Yeah, duh. Hey man, I'm jumping ship today, and I already burned the house down under Biden, and now I'm just going to do the same thing under Kamala. Yet the trolls out there will say she's doing fantastic. She's doing great. She's not doing anything. If you go to her website, there is nothing about any policy whatsoever. Except now we see, in forms of who she's hiring, you can kind of tell what her policy is going to be economically. It's more of the same. So how do you, as a conscious voter, look at this and what we're seeing today and go, yeah, I want some more of this? As of right now, I've got it live, so let me just check. As of right now, the Dow is down 1,035, and it's fluctuating. So it's early, a lot of trades still being made, but it's already down 1,000. But I want to show you something, and this is really important. Not a lot of people know this. This is getting kind of in the weeds of things. This is kind of understanding what is causing everything you're seeing today. There's a thing called the VIX. Many of you may not know what that is, but I'm going to tell you what it is. The VIX is called the Volatility Index. And this is basically tells you how things are going and how strong your economy really is and what can influence it. So you're looking at the VIX as of today. Let me enlarge this. Can I do that? Okay. That made it too big. But in any event, you can see this. And there's three big spikes on this. You got this spike here, you got this spike here, and you got today. In 2008, it was at 80.9. That is when the entire financial system collapsed. Many of you may still remember that. Then it went to 82.7 in March of 2020. That's when everybody got sick and they shut down the entire world. The third biggest spike of all time is today. When this was taken, it was at 65.4, and it still fluctuates. If this number ends up being around this again, as we check later on in the day, Katie bar the door. If it goes up, head to the supermarket as soon as possible and fill up your tanks. It's going to be a bumpy ride, folks. Only 3 times in the last, it goes back to 1990. Only 3 times in the last 34 years has it been this high. In fact, the previous high looks like it was probably in 2012 at about 41, 42. It's at 65.4. Third only to when they shut down the economy in 2020 and the financial collapse of 2008. Do you see how bad things are? I pray for you, and I sincerely mean this, even for Democrats. I pray for you if you've got money in a 401k. I don't know what's going to happen over the next couple days and weeks, especially if what I think is going to happen over in the Middle East, especially if I think, and I feel very confident that our current president and his running mate, or not his running mate anymore, the one who's taking his place, have no clue. Nothing. They have no clue what to do. Trump said it. If Biden gets elected, our economy is going to tank. Everybody laughed. It's such a strong economy. Really? Really? And now you're seeing it, and you're seeing it in real time. And it wasn't something that wasn't expected. It wasn't something that you couldn't forecast. You know, if you were smart and you saw that they were printing money like crazy, and you watched that happen over and over and over. If you watched that, you knew the crap was going to hit the fan. If that wasn't enough, then you had to realize that he wasn't going to drill for any more oil. And so if you don't provide more oil, then obviously the price goes up. You had to foresee that coming. There was no secret. It was just a matter of how long he could prolong it, how long they could play with things, like by draining the petroleum reserves and make it artificially look like it's not that bad, it's going to be okay. You had to see things coming. Start paying attention if you're not. Then you had to have seen the millions of newcomers that have been brought in and have been given all kinds of perks, all kinds of money. You had to have seen it happen. It wasn't a secret. We've all been talking about it. So you got them printing money. You got them closing the oil markets. You're giving away money to newcomers that we don't have. And then number 4, you're shipping billions of dollars to that country over there so they could fight a war that we're not involved in. And you've all known this. Every single one of us has seen these signs. But the question today is, even though you've seen all these signs, what did you do to prepare? What did you do to make sure that, hey man, this ride's going to come to an abrupt stop? I don't know when, but it can't continue. It's unsustainable. You've seen the debt just hit $35 trillion. Completely unsustainable. What did you do to make sure that you are prepared? So now you see all these things together. You see every one of those signs that have gotten us to where we are today, including a candidate who's, or rather a president who ain't got nothing upstairs, then an assassination attempt, and then Miss Thing trying to be president. You're seeing all these things happen. At some point, a reasonable person has to go, hey, honey, we're in deep poop. I know a lot of people don't realize it yet, and the news isn't telling you, but I'm telling you, honey, right now, we're in deep trouble. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to fix this? How are we going to be protected so that one day we don't swipe and open the account and like, oh, what happened? Where's the money? Even Democrats have to look at that. I'm telling you right now, even George Clooney is sitting there going, oh, whoa, what happened here? I'm sure he made some arrangements that he won't tell you about. I'm sure he used some conservative fiscal sense and made some moves to make sure he knew what was coming. Incidentally, you know what? One stock today that's like shooting through the roof, just like Lockheed Martin. If you bought Lockheed Martin a couple days ago, you're sitting on a nice profit today. What did people know who bought Lockheed Martin know that you didn't know? And if you didn't pay attention, E.F. Hutton himself pulled out $277 billion in cash. Warren Buffett goes, yeah, I'm going to sell off this Apple crap, and I'm just going to sit on the cash for right now because I don't want to have all my assets tied up in this crap. So when you put all that together, what did it spell for you? Now, I'm not trying to be too aggressive with people. What I'm trying to do is, this isn't as bad as it could be. Let me just check right now. It's down 1,000. The Dow is down 1,000. What I'm trying to tell you is, you need to now stop procrastinating. You need to get ready. It's only going to get worse from here. There may be up days. People will tell you, oh, it's temporary. Like they've said inflation was transitory. Oh, no, we'll weather this storm. Next week, tomorrow, when the bombs start dropping over in Israel and Iran and everybody gets mobilized, you know we sent an entire fleet of ships over there, right? It's not something to ignore. I'm praying and I'm telling people, I talked to my sisters today, and me and my wife sat down, we need to increase different things we're going to be doing. I've talked to some of my investors and said, okay, let's get ready. You see, I'm looking at things 6 months down the line. I'm looking 12 months down the line. I know right now, and you're probably going to see the Federal Reserve do an emergency rate reduction. They waited too long. Bidenomics is a fraud. And so now they're going to try and do something reactionary, which is going to cause more problems in the market. Here's why. They're going to do something reactionary to try and basically bolster up everything, keep it going, at least till November. And it'll do some things and it'll make people go, oh, it's okay. We're going to get through this. No, we're not. No, we're not. Everything you see is fake. It's all fake. The candidate is fake. The media is fake. The economy was propped up by fake paper sticks. And they're going to try and put some more paper sticks in it to try and make you feel comfortable. You can't do that. You have to understand, we're going to see foreclosures rise. We are going to see car repossessions go up. If you're in a position to take advantage of that, and I'm sorry if that sounds bad, people, as I've said before in my videos, people have considered me a vulture, but I do know John Rockefeller was right. I believe it was he who said it. The time to buy when blood is running through the streets. When people are out there running around with their heads cut off, acting like they don't know what to do, when the banks and Federal Reserve are dropping rates trying to make things happen, when people get scared and they want to sell off stuff, you need to be in a position to buy it. You see, I made, in over the 1,000 houses my wife and I have bought and purchased and resold, we wait, we look to see where's the market, and then where's the market going to be. And then you're starting to see right now, there's so much inventory. I don't know where you live, but call your local realtor and say, hey, ask them this question if you've never heard this before. Ask them what the absorption rate is. You know, everybody calls realtors, hey, what's my house worth? I don't care about that. What's the absorption rate? The absorption rate is a term that basically describes how much inventory is on the market. And depending on where you live, and they can probably pull this for you, there's a point a tipping point between a buyer's market and a seller's market. The absorption rate says it will take X amount of months to sell all of the inventory currently on the market. So if the absorption rate is like 1 or 2, well, you're in a seller's market. Sellers are sitting back. Yeah, no, I don't want that offer. If it gets at 6 and 7, you're in a buyer's market. And when that absorption rate hits 6 or above, that's when I start salivating. That's when I know sellers are actually getting desperate. Plan on that. And I'm just giving you some of my personal insight, because I can sit back and go certain neighborhoods here in South Florida that I know people want to live in, but they just can't afford. There are people with cash who can get mortgages, or they may be mortgage agnostic, meaning they don't care what the rate is, or they get favorable rates from their mortgage companies, and they say, listen, I know this house is selling for $700,000-800,000 now, but if I could get that house at $600,000, I'm buying it. So people like me say, listen, can I buy this house for $550,000 cash? If I can buy this house at $550,000 cash today, I know I can sell it for $600,000 next week. Literally next week. That's how you can begin hedging yourself and understanding what's going on here. Make sure you're positioned to take advantage of things that happen in the market. I'm not here to cry on you. I'm not here to say, oh, woe is me. This is horrible. This is the worst thing ever. No, just the opposite. Barry wanted to jump on here early. I don't normally do early morning videos, but I wanted to let you guys know there's a reason for this happening, and there's an opportunity that's beginning to present itself if you can sit back and look. People, unfortunately, are going to need help. You're not a social worker. You don't work for the government. Your opportunity is based upon making money for you and your family. So you have to find those pockets of opportunity when they present themselves. Now, I know this probably ticks some people off, and it sounds, I don't know, so chaotic, but it's not. There's a whole industry. Go look up the movie The Big Short. Go watch the movie The Big Short and see what happened in 2007, 8, and 9, and how there were companies that were basically shorting the real estate market. The Big Short. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and put a derivative together and try to short the housing market, but what I am trying to tell you is spot the opportunities where you live. Understand, maybe you're not in a position to buy houses. Maybe you don't have the experience to buy houses, or you don't have the investors to buy houses in cash. I understand it, but there's going to be micro opportunities as well. Well, Barry, what the hell is a micro opportunity? I don't know. You go in your market and you look for certain things like, I don't know if you have a store called Big Lots. They're going out of business down here, but there are people that were going out and going to, not flea markets, what do you talk, garage sales. Guy Gary Vaynerchuk, big investor, was going to garage sales and buying things for $25 and $40 from people who had to sell, who needed money, and then putting them right back up on eBay or Facebook Marketplace and selling those things for $200 and $300 the very next day. Spot your opportunities. Look for opportunities. Don't. You got to get out of the mindset that you're being a vulture, that you're basically eating off dead carcasses. No, this is a part of the economy that has to work. It must work. You got companies, I see people complaining all the time about BlackRock is buying up all the real estate, and they own like 38% of the real estate, and they're going to make the rents too high. Well, they couldn't do that. I mean, you realize they couldn't do that if people weren't selling to them. So I never have a problem with BlackRock. I see what they're doing. I know what they're doing. They can't compete in our market down here in South Florida because there are too many savvy investors who are like, no, they're just going to basically lowball the hell out of you. I can come in higher than a BlackRock offer. Done it many times. BlackRock on the same house may say, listen, we're only going to give you 3. I'll say, I'll give you $325 cash and we'll close next week. So it's not that the under market opportunities are bad, and it's not bad that BlackRock is doing it, because somebody Somebody somewhere, when BlackRock walks into a home or sends their reps in and agrees to pay somebody who wants to sell, they're not twisting their arm and saying, we're taking your house. Somebody is saying, hey, would you buy my house? Yeah, we'll buy it, and we'll cash you out. You can go do what you want to do. Now that person, this is the side nobody understands. Now that person has whatever equity they had, or if they've negotiated a deal where they can get some money to move, they've actually got some cash in their hands. And now they can contribute back to the economy. That's how this works. So as of right now, I'm going to go through some more stuff here. We're still at 1,100 points down. I'll be right back. And one of those things that you do need to do, and I've been saying it over and over, now you're seeing why I partnered with Lear Capital. If you had purchased, when I first started partnering with them, I'm not saying you would have made a bunch of money, but you would be holding on to your assets. You know that inflation is still on the rise all across America, and our dollar is being devalued more and more every single day by the Federal Reserve and their massive money printing schemes. So you have to ask yourself, are my investments really safe? I doubt it. Listen to this. Government debt is growing at the rate of $1 trillion every 100 days. Since 2020, every dollar in your wallet has lost 24% of its purchasing power. And in just the last 18 months, what you need to survive as a family, your groceries, your necessities, have gone up by $11,000 per family. These are unsustainable and outrageous numbers. That's why I'm recommending that you call my friends at Lear Capital. They'll show you how easy it is to move some of your assets into gold and silver. You know, assets that are growing in value instead of keeping them in a dollar, which is declining in value. And as we approach the election, and with all the volatility in the world, now is the time to take some action. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. When you go to Lear, you'll be able to download a de-dollarization guide. It will show you specifically how your dollar is deflating every single year. There's no obligation, it's just free information. You'll learn how to protect your hard-earned money with gold and silver. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. Call Lear at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you give them a call, ask how you can get $15,000 in bonus gold with a qualifying purchase. So we're back. So I see a comment here, and it says, BlackRock is trash. I've been researching them. Yeah, they don't have the best interest of the American people at heart. Period. I will give you that. But what you also have to understand is that nobody is making somebody sell to BlackRock. See, I think people forget that. So BlackRock is out there basically buying up as much as they possibly can, sort of like the Chinese buying up farmland, and sort of like Bill Gates buying up farmland. None of us likes that. We all think that absolutely sucks. But you have to think about the other side of that transaction. Bill Gates didn't send some henchman out there and say, sign this paper or I'll poke your eyes out. He went in, or whoever he went in to make the offer, said, we'll give you this much for your farmland. Okay. And somebody willingly signed the contract and took the check. China, same thing, going out and buying farmland and other things, other American assets. I haven't heard any reports that China has gone in and basically put a gun to somebody's head and said, sell this to me or else. Nope, they went in and made an offer. Person looked at it, talked to their attorney, and then goes, yeah, that's a good offer. Give me the check. So when you say BlackRock is trash, and I've been researching them, I understand that. But the problem isn't with BlackRock. And trust me, what I'm not saying, I am not sticking up for BlackRock. Not at all. The problem is people are in such a bad position that they're being forced to sell. And they're being forced to sell because of Bidenomics. They have to. They have to liquidate. They need the money. They've been squeezed. All the stuff about the water and everything else, they've had to basically being forced to sell, and BlackRock happens to be right there with a check. But what I'm saying to you today is, maybe if you're in a position, you need to be the BlackRock. And if you're in that position, it's going to be a lot better for you to take advantage of certain opportunities. That ain't what happened. Government destroyed farmers, then sent their puppets to again. But you listen to that one. I've done my research, but that last part of your comment, what you just said, sent their puppets to buy those farms. You realize anybody could have bought that farm, right? I've done the research. There is, unless you can send me a link where it said somebody put a gun to somebody's head and you had to sell it to this particular entity, you're not doing the research. You're not understanding that Farmer John, because he got squeezed, because they took all the water and fines and everything else, because that happened, he had to sell. Nothing said you had to sell to people like Bill Gates and BlackRock. You got to get that mindset out of your head. When you say do the research, you're talking to a savvy investor right now who's bought and sold 1,000+ houses. I understand the real estate market. I understand liens. I understand encumbrances. I understand all that. I even bought a house one time from a guy who was on death row in prison because I knew he wasn't going to be coming back to it. And I knew that the other people in the house weren't there because he killed them. But I was able to say, here's an opportunity. This house is going to sit empty because Jimbo ain't coming home. Actually, Leroy ain't coming home. And his estate, what did his estate want? Maybe some of you have people who have lived in this, your parents have passed on. Most of the time, the heirs are like, I ain't moving there. Just give me the money. You just have to present yourself to be the person who's first in line with the best offer. So I'm not sticking up for these companies, but trust me, I've done the research. There's not much you can ask me about real estate that I won't be able to tell you how it gets done and what to do to get it done. There's an old saying in real estate, and I learned it from the very first deal I ever did. If the deal makes sense, the money is there. Just remember that. Even if you don't have money to pay groceries right now, if you talk to your next door neighbor and they say, man, I can't make it anymore. I got to sell my house. If the deal makes sense, if the numbers work, there will be money available in your market to actually do something. Trust me, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I used to tell people all the time, drop me out of a plane in a helicopter, put a parachute on me, I fall into some neighborhood, I'm going to be able to buy a house within 5 or 6 days, cash. Just how it is. Don't get angry at the game. Get in the game. It's a completely big difference there. My Schwab account is down today. Do you believe that? Yep. Knew it was coming. Knew that was coming. Remember last week when last week when they had this big cyber attack and everything went down across the country? Oh my God, cyber attack went down. Hey honey, you can shut that. And so the cyber attack happened and everybody's like, what's going on? Well, what's going on was it was probably a dry run. Again, watch the signals. They call it in the military SIGINT, SIG intelligence. Watch what's happening. This stuff isn't happening by accident. Hey, Carla. Carla says she's been renting this place for 8 years, $750. Now it's $1,000. So they had to raise the rent, or decided to. Off-grid food and water. Yep. Well, this got boring real quick. How is money boring? How is making money boring? How is protecting your money boring? How is taking advantage of opportunities in the market boring? How is making sure that your family can prosper? How is that boring? How is that boring to anybody? It just doesn't make any sense. People believe the media and stories too much. They refuse to take responsibility for themselves. I can believe that. You say here in this comment, that you can't eat gold. No, I think it would probably taste kind of funny, but you can buy stuff with it. Yeah, there you go. The big wigs have shut down. The scraps are beginning to be fought over. All right, then be a bigwig. Be a bigwig where you live. That's the solution. Play the game. Swim with the sharks. Do what you need to do. Talk to people. Network. Find out who in the area has the money that you need to do what you need to do. Money is boring if you don't have any. Yeah, I would probably guess that is absolutely true. Money is definitely boring, and economy is boring if you don't have any. But why would you just accept your lot in life and say, you know what, this is all I have available to me. That's all it's going to be. I guess I'm just going to go out and shovel some snow or rake some leaves, and that's going to be. I had a friend. God's honest truth. This was in high school. I had a friend back in Connecticut who was around when they started doing the whole recycling thing. And he and his brother in the summer would pick up leaves, and in the winter they would shovel snow. 2 Irish kids. It's a true story. And then when they started the recycling thing, and it was 5 cents a bottle and 5 cents a can, you could redeem them at the redemption center. You get paid 5 cents. And him and his brother would go around on Thursdays at the garbage, and they would dump all the aluminum cans into a bag. And then at the end of the week, they would take all the bags to the redemption center, and they would walk away with $300, $400, $500 in cash. And everybody's like, well, okay, you buying lunch? Whatever. Segue a couple years, this guy probably had, 15 or 20 tractor trailers, a 200,000 foot warehouse, and he was making in excess of a couple $1 million a year. All because Connecticut decided to go to recycling. What started out was a kid and his brother just collecting cans turned into a multi-million-dollar business. That's what it is. The problem is that China shouldn't be allowed to buy our farmland or any real estate. I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. There should be a law that says China can't do that. I don't understand why they even allowed it. They shouldn't. But let's continue. So you see what's happening. Let me just check in on the market. Let's see where we are as of right now. I'm looking on TV. And it looks like we're still about 1,000. So Donald Trump, what happened there? Donald Trump came out with some things. I want to show you this stuff. Let me go down to here. All right, Donald Trump been posting. Let me just refresh because he's probably been posting even more today. Let's see. No, okay. He's Trump cash versus Kamala crash. Trump cash versus Kamala cash. Love that. That was about an hour ago. Why did he say that? Why did he say Trump cash versus Kamala crash? Because it's about making money, getting prosperous. How is that boring? Then down here was very interesting. Voters have a choice: Trump prosperity or the Kamala crash and Great Depression of 2024. Not to notice what he said there. I got to stop myself. The Great Depression of 2024. So just to fill you in on that, he's telling you something else. He's telling you see what's going on now. Right now is just the appetizer. Right now, what they're doing is setting the table so that everybody is ready to basically sit and feast at the opportunity of recession economics. And Trump is saying to you right there in that tweet, that where they're headed is the depression of 2024. Not to mention the probability of world war if these very stupid people remain in office. Remember, Trump was right about everything. Of course there is a massive market downturn. He's saying it right there. Everything I just said to you, he just said in that one post. Of course there is a massive market downturn. Meaning you should have known it. Of course, he says there's a massive market downturn. We've all seen the warning signs. So some people are getting pissed off at me. They don't like what I'm saying here. I understand. It's not for everybody. But you had to have seen the signs. So now, where you're sitting, wherever you are, you've seen these signs, and now you see Trump talking about a possible depression. You saw the VIX volatility index that I showed you. Now that you know all these things, and I've told you what's going to happen with the interest rates and probably emergency interest rate deduction, if you see all these things happening, they are basically warnings for you to execute upon in any manner, shape, or form that you can. Let's continue to what he said here. The left has simply swapped out a debilitated president for a challenged president, Victor Davis Hanson. And this is where you see it's worldwide. Japan down 12%, India down 6%, Germany way down, US really bad. This is a preview. He's letting you know. This isn't hyperbole. That's why I wanted to do this video early this morning, is to let you know the signs are there. You've got to begin paying attention to these signs. Stack up. Get some prep food. Do whatever you need to do, but start now. This is a preview of the world markets without Donald Trump in the White House. None of this happens if Trump is in. Kamala and the markets don't get together. She'll destroy the market. She's in power now. Look at what's happening. 1 week of fake media saying better polls, and you get a market crash. The legendary Howard Lutnick. I understand if some of you are taken aback by this video. Like, Barry, what are you talking about? I can't help those who want to look the other way. When the guy that I'm going to be voting for and the guy I've been following is saying the exact same thing, maybe you might want to just listen. Maybe it shouldn't be a woe versus me type thing right now. Maybe it's like, what can I do and how can I do it to make sure I'm prepared so that my family isn't sitting there looking at an empty refrigerator? Or worse, my family doesn't have any electricity because they've turned the electricity off. Not because you didn't pay your bill, but because they need to take the grid down for any reason. If that grid goes down, and I don't mean to sound like Alex Jones, what are you going to do? What would you do right now if you went to the bank and it said, nope, you can't use that ATM card? What? And you start, nothing happens. What would you do if you went to the pump today to get some gas and it was, no, we can't dispense anything. The computers are down. That's what I'm saying here. I'm sounding a bell right here on August 5th to say get ready in any way, shape, or form. If get ready means to you is to make sure you've got a full tank of gas every single day, even if you're just topping it off with $5 here or there, do it. If getting ready means, hey, listen, I'm going to start looking at some prep stuff and making sure I've got some canned fruit and canned vegetables and some rice and whatever you need to do, do it. Don't sit back and go, oh, it's not that bad. It'll be okay. It's not. You saw what they did in 2020. You absolutely saw what happened. If I had told you in 2018 that, you know what, I think in a year or so, they're going to say that you can't even go to the beach. They're going to say you can't ride your skateboard because other people might get, sick from it. They're going to tell you that you can't go to the gym. You would have laughed at me. You would have absolutely laughed. What do you mean I can't go to the gym? So now segue to 2024, and they're telling you that boys can beat up girls in the Olympics. And they're telling you that kids should be able to go to, Transformer shows. And they're telling you that we're not going to drill and make you buy it from Venezuela, who's now in basically a civil war. What do you think's going to happen? Seriously, think about it. Continue. One more with them. Stock markets are crashing. Job numbers are terrible. We are heading to World War III, and we have two of the most incompetent leaders in history. This is not good, and he's absolutely right. And nothing we talk about, nothing that we want can change legally until January of 2025. We're stuck with this guy. And if he goes away, then she becomes 47, and Trump's going to try and be 48. There is nothing politically we can do until January of 2025. And those of you who don't have a calendar, I'm going to tell you that is at least 5 months away. So if in the next 5 months they see that the poop's hitting the fan and she's not going to elect it and the people in power are having an issue, they don't want Trump back in place, they couldn't take him out for however, what do you think they're capable of doing? That's what I'm saying. Somebody mentioned Schwab earlier. Breaking news, multiple brokerages, including Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, UPS, CenturyLink, and Interactive Brokers are currently down and reporting errors amid market crashes. How convenient. How convenient that the stock market and everything else goes to heck, and all these brokerages just happen to go down. Nobody would have seen that coming, right? Wrong. You got to read the signals. You got to see what's happening all the time. This one that came out said that over $1.93 trillion has been wiped out from the United States stock market so far today, as the NASDAQ, which is different than the Dow, the NASDAQ has dropped over 1,000 points. Ouch. Ouch. Trillion. Almost 2 trillion. It's like the government took it and couldn't account for it. That's how bad that was. All right, so let's move on. Oh, I love this one. Let me show you this one. If for some reason you are still undecided about who to vote for, here's a helpful chart for you to ponder. All right, so inflation at the same point in his presidency. Energy, Trump 0, Biden 38.8%. Gasoline -2. Biden at 47.8%. And you could go on and on. I'm not going to read all of them to you. But if you look at the chart on the left, numbers on the left versus the numbers on the right, it's a clear choice. So if it's a clear choice economically, because what we've seen, and because of that chart, because of what we've lived, if it's a clear choice, why is it that people aren't understanding that? Why are people not realizing that this Kamala crash that we're going through right now is indicative of where she's going to be, how she's going to lead? Nothing is going to change whatsoever. Excuse me as I adjust my chair. Nothing is going to change. In fact, as I showed you earlier, she's bringing on Biden's economic advisor to run things. Absolutely insane. Tom Cotton, Vice President Harris must immediately, and without a script and a teleprompter, explain her economic policies. If she can't answer a single question, she can't handle the job. We already know the answer. Every single one of us right here knows the answer. She obviously can't handle the job. It's way over her head. It's way over Biden's head. But this is what we're stuck with for the next foreseeable, 5-6 months. Are you ready to continue with that? Are you ready to make sure that, if this thing goes the way it looks like it's going and you can't access your money? Just imagine. These people said they can't go to their brokerage. They can't even access it. What would you do? What would you do? Let me take a few comments here. Bidenomics is really, really working, isn't it? Yeah, it's horrible. The American Cheryl, it's funny because it really is. It is something to think about. The American public is dumb as a box of rocks. When people are watching Joy Reid and The View and everything else, and I'm thinking to myself, are they not paying any friggin' attention? Do they realize that the people talking the BS to them are making millions, and they're paid to keep you poor and blind and stupid? Do they not even understand that? So you're absolutely right. There are a lot of dumb people in here who don't look at the signs. And you have to admit, it's on both sides. You see, people on the left are too dumb. They just listen to everything people say. And the people on the right, many people on the right, just hope it's going to get better or it's going to be okay. If we just get through this. And I'm saying take active steps to get yourself through it. God chose Trump. Nothing can stop it. Okay. They've been trying to keep the economy together. with chewing gum and twine for quite some time, and it's coming apart at the seams. So what you just described, Maggie, when you just said it yourself, that they're basically doing everything they can just to keep this thing together, you just described desperation. You just described some people who know that the end is near and they don't have many options at all. You see, this big boat, this cruise ship called the American economy, you just can't take a quick left turn and everything's fixed, or a quick right turn and everything's fixed. This is a giant boat that you need to steer very slowly, and as you're steering it, you hope nothing gets in the way. And everything is always weeks and months out before you feel it. It's something that people don't understand, is what you're seeing happen today. The real effects won't happen until basically November and December, which is probably why they pushed up the whole DNC thing by Zoom, and why she may or he may, this whole debate thing, and they want to get the early voting started, because right now in August, what you're seeing today may not start the big problems until September and October, more like October and November. If you go delinquent on your mortgage today, first day, if August 1st you didn't pay your mortgage, they're going to call you. They're going to say, can you do anything? What can we do? And then if you haven't paid by November 1st, they're going to get a little bit more stern. October 1st, they're going to get a little bit more stern with you. And then if you haven't paid on November 1st, then they're going to send you what's called a list pendants, or a notice of default. And then they're going to start foreclosure proceedings in December. Well, all that happened because of what happened today. But it doesn't take effect until December, when your house begins going into foreclosure. And by then, people have already voted. That's what I mean by the cycle. If you aren't trying to leave the country, you aren't really understanding what's about to happen. Where are you going to go? Canada? Mexico? Switzerland? Maybe you can go to Switzerland. That's about it. Let's see. I grew up in a Democratic house. I learned once I started paying my own bills. Yep. I remember there was a comedian who talked about in a movie when somebody got their first paycheck and go, who the hell is FICA? And why are they taking my money? Welcome to life, son. Welcome to life. It's staggering people this incompetent and stupid are allowed to run our country, because they're voted in by other stupid and incompetent people, and they're funded by people who run them. See, this is all part of a huge scheme. You guys know that part. You know that Kamala and Joe are just basically puppet masters, because the people who run things behind the scenes are actually still making money. Warren Buffett doesn't feel anything. His guy's making $277, not made, but he pulled $277 billion in cash out. He's fine. Doesn't matter. People like Mark Cuban, doesn't matter. They got all kinds of money. But when she says she's there for the middle class is going to get destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. And nobody seems to want to grasp that, because they're so interested in, dudes for Harris and stuff. I'm like, are you kidding me? No more 401k. Canada's bad too. The people are on their knees. Yeah, absolutely they are. Let me go to something else that I saw earlier. This was from J.D. Vance. This moment could set off a real economic calamity around the globe. It requires steady leadership, the kind President Trump delivered for 4 years. Very easy comparison. Kamala Harris is too afraid to answer media questions and cannot lead us in these troubled times. And this is before the first real bombs drop over in the Middle East. I look down here and I can see that Middle East is trending. Let me see if anything new has happened. Massive war in the middle. I love this. Massive war in the Middle East. Crashing stock market without extraneous rationale. Cost of living dramatically up over the last 3 years. Thanks, Kamala and Joe. You did it all right. I was once willing to give my life for what I believe this country stood for. Today I would give my life to protect my family from what this country has become. Woo, great statement. Great statement. If you saw the stuff happening in England, yesterday when that certain people who follow that certain religion were walking around from place to place with 2x4s and beating up people. Bet you they wish right now they can get an AR-15. See, there's a reason for everything they're doing. Once you're disarmed, they own you. They own you. You can't do anything, and that includes other people. It wasn't the government of England who was going through the streets beating people up. It was the people they let in the country that were going around in the streets beating people up, and they couldn't do anything about it. Well, then, a group of people from England and Ireland got together and said, we ain't taking this no more. And what was funny, this popped up. I want you guys to see this. This is interesting. Kamala's team put this out on May 24th of this year. They were making fun of Donald Trump. I played you that video at the beginning of this video. 4 years ago today, Trump claimed the stock market would crash if Joe Biden was elected. The stock market has reached the highest levels ever recorded in history under President Biden. Oops. Guess not now. Guess that's something you have to just chalk up to people knowing what was about to happen. And I'm looking at different stocks here, and just everything seems to be down. Even Lockheed Martin at this point is down. Let me see if I can pull up the current Dow Jones on it and see where we are. Like still 4% in global markets. Just really bad. Just really bad. Looks like as of right now we're at negative 902. Let me just pull that up so you guys can see this. So we're approaching midday and we're still at negative 909. That's not good. That means people are profit taking, they're buying stock, they're still moving, but it's still at close to 1,000. What's going to happen? I can't tell you. All I can tell you is just get prepared. Yeah, oops, Kamala, eat your words. Prices on tents have also gone up. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Prices in tents have gone up, knowing that people will be homeless soon. That hurts. We need Donald Trump badly. I mean, absolutely badly. We got to have him. This stock market crash is going to be worse than 2008. I'm going to close with this one because I love these people who say this. They have no idea. You realize it's not a crash, right? It's still above when Trump left office. Y'all are delusional morons. Spoken by someone who obviously doesn't have any money in the market. Spoken like someone who's basically regurgitating left-wing BS. You've never invested in your life. I guarantee you, because what you just showed us shows us you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. It's not the indices that we're referring to. Let me just go back to this here. Let me just show Brother Man here. The number, the overall average on the number. Let me pull this back up in a different thing. Okay. He's looking at the aggregate number at 38,827.31 and saying it's better than it was when Trump was in office. He fails to miss the other two numbers on the other side. What that means is you don't understand that people, companies, large investment companies, are down 2% on whatever they have invested in one day. Doesn't matter where you got in. It matters what happened today and what happens tomorrow. So Mr. Chef Nomad, who thinks he knows what he's talking about, go ahead, jump in, buy something. Buy something you know nothing about. And when the bombs start dropping in Israel and Iran and we can't buy oil, just don't worry about it. Do me a favor though. Send me your address so that I know where you live, so that I can talk to either you or the owner of your property when the shit hits the bed. Because you don't seem to understand signals. You don't seem to understand intent. Again, maybe you missed this part of the video earlier when I talked about the volatility index. You see what's going on here? Mr. Nomad, did you miss this part? Did you miss economics and understanding what VIX is? Did you miss understanding what the volatility index shows in terms of performance and indication of where things aren't now, but where they are going to be? No, of course not. You completely missed that. There's a saying by a guy who was really successful in hockey. The guy's name is Wayne Gretzky. And obviously Chef Nomad has no clue about this. And what he said was, you don't ever skate to where the puck is. You skate to where the puck is going to be. Big difference there. What Chef Nomad just said was he skates to where the puck is. He thinks it's delusional for you to skate to where the puck is going to be. He doesn't look at charts like this because he doesn't know how to read them. He doesn't realize that the biggest indicator of performance is past history. When you can look at a chart like this and use your brain and look, I don't care who is president, I don't care. I'm looking at that chart right now and going, hey, there have been 3 times in the last 30 years when we've hit this number. 3 times. 1 time in 2008, and we all know what happened then. 2 in 2020, and we all knew what happened then. So, Mr. Nomad, we're at the far right. You need some educating, my friend. Some serious educating. It cracks me up. Oh, God, it cracks me up. So, everybody, I will be here tonight at 7 p.m. We'll do a recap of this, and we'll talk about some other things that happened in the market, probably about Joe Rogan getting ready to sue MSNBC, and then what's going on with Tulsi Gabbard being surveilled on planes. Unbelievable. Stay frosty. Stay away from guys like Chef Nomad because they don't know, no idea what they're talking about and probably have never invested anything in their entire life. They're watching MSNBC and reading some rag. It's crazy. I just don't have time for it. These people, they make themselves look stupid, not me. Talk to you tonight.